Okay, students, good afternoon all. So we are going to start with Maya FX, and today we are going to start the fluids, 3D container and 2D container. So inside our N particle, we can generate the particle system, and inside fluids we can add realistic. Basically, we can add realistic fire, smoke, all that stuff. It going to be very realistic, and so let's see how we can use it. So just you have to go to 3D container, and inside 3D container, if you go to the option box of the 3D container, first we have the resolution, then we have the size. We're going to discuss on that. And suppose if you want to add emitter directly inside fluid, so we can add. So by default, it directly comes with the emitter. So I don't want that right now. We're going to add later on. Just simply create your blank fluid item. That's all. And this particular section boxes called voxels. Okay. And suppose if you want to increase the quality of that particular voxel, you have to increase the base resolution. Let's say if I just increase to 40, so you can see here. So the quality is going to increase. At the same time, the fluid simulation is going to be slow down low. So you have to be very careful. So if you have a good system, then only you can increase the base resolution. And for testing purpose, you can start with 2040, you can go up to 80. Okay, fine. Now if you want, we can add fluid. You can go to add an emitter container, and we can add extra emitter from here, and you can directly take from there also. I want to show that particular option. And from here, if you just play from here, we can see the smoke is coming out. Simple. And now we can apply different, same, just you have to select your fluid box, and if you just play here, so you can see he's just stuck over here because of the boundary. It's not be able to go out. So let's say if you want to open this particular boundary, so this is y-axis, so you can just say no boundary, none. And if you just play and see, now see, it's gone out. So whatever the fluid you want going to see and generate is going to be inside this fluid only. Okay, and we're going to discuss some of the properties. Okay, and its fluid is directly going to be affected by your turbulence and all that stuff. So let's say suppose if we want to add turbulence or any other field, we can add. So if I just add turbulence, and just make sure your attenuation is 0, magnitude is 5, magnitude is your strength, and attenuation calculates the distance. Basically, if it is 0, then it's going to affect the entire world. So if I just play now, so you can see, it's affecting like that. Simple. Let's say simple example, if you want to blast something. Okay, so if you want to have something is blasting, I'm just going to give some hint of what can be done. So right now I don't want any strength over here, just take it to 0. Okay, and let's say I want to store that particular informations. whatever informations. So what you can do is, so you can define your initial shape, what exactly shape you want, and you can blast that particular shape out. So let's say, suppose if I have let's say sphere, or can have any shape. I can have any shape, or if you want, you can take the file from under modeling. You can just go to generate your brush, and from here we can add some base mesh, and we can start working on that. You can add this also, but I'm going to take a different base mesh, bypass, and I'm going, if you want, you can take, let's say I'm going to import my body, and we need to decrease the size. So let's try with 0.1, 0.05, yes, and just make sure or we need to decrease more, 0.003, too less, 0.03, yes, this is fine. Just make sure, just freeze the transformation, modify and freeze the transformation. So it's going to calculate it properly, and just delete the history, delete by type and history. Just make sure mesh is clean from here. Okay. Now what we want is, we want to emit our fluid from this particular shape, and we want to form that particular shape, and we want to blast that particular shape. Okay. For that, what you're going to do is, just select your object, select your fluid plus object, and what you can do is, just go to VFX, and inside fluid you can just say emit from object, and make sure you take surface, and if you want you can increase the density and height. So right now I'm just going to take with we're going to go ahead with our default value, and just click on apply and close. Okay, and if you just play and check now, what's happening is generating your fluids from that particular shape. Let's see. Simple. I want to see that particular figure. We just want to see the fluid, so I'm going to hide that object using Ctrl H for hide, and you can see that particular figure is there. And if you just increase the resolution of that particular file based resolution, you just say 80. So now if you just play and check, so you can see shape is forming properly. Okay. For demo purpose, I'm going to decrease the resolution. So we want to generate our smoke faster. So just for demo purpose, I'm going to decrease the base resolution. Okay. And what we can do now is, suppose now if you just play and check, so it's just flowing. We want to store that particular stuff. So we want to store that particular shape, and we don't want it to flow. At least initially, we don't want to flow. Okay. So what we can do is, if we just go here, contains method, inside density, this is dynamic grid. Dynamic means it's flowing. So if you just say static inside density, and if you just play now, so static grid is going to hold that particular object like this. Simple. You just play and check now, so you can see, it's not flowing now. And I just want to increase the base resolution a bit and check, this. Let's see how. Yes. So around 20, 22, 25, we are able to form a shape, right? So just make sure when you are using your FX, make sure your playback speed is set to play every frame, not the real time. Real time is for your character animation, and for FX, your claw simulation dynamic system, you have to make sure you are using play every frame free or max real time. Okay. So from this particular point, from 25 onward, we are ready to blast that particular shape. Till that particular point, we want density to 25 frame. We want it to static grid. So just set the key, and on 26 frame, we're going to take it to dynamic grid, and we're going to set the key. This is first thing. So if you play and check now, let's see what happens. So after 25 frame, it's going to start flowing. Yes? Fine. But the particle is still continuing from here. We don't want that. We want to stop the particle flow, the smoke flow, which is generating from this human figure. So after 25 till 25 frame, if you just go to our emitter property here, basic emitter attribute, and this particular rate till 25 frame, we want it to 100%, right? This 100%. Just set the key, and after that, on 26 frame, we don't want anything, so just reduce to 0 and just set the key. So what is going to happen is, so if you just see now, so after 25 frame, we are not going to generate an additional this particle fluid. So whatever fluid we have is going to be evaporated like that. Simple. Now we want to blast that particular shape. So what you can do is, so I've already added my turbulence field, so you can see this. So on 25th frame, it has to be 0. So till 25 frame, we don't want any turbulence effect on this particular body, and on 26 frame, we can add turbulence, let's say 50, and we can set the key. Simple. And also, for the time being, if you just play and check now, okay, let's see what happens. So till 25 frame is forming the shape, and from here it's like blasting. Simple. So whatever shape we have, it's going to blast. It's not going to generate an additional smoke and particles, whatever. It's not going to generate. Okay. Next, we don't want it to go top, like it's flowing upward. We don't want that. So what we can do is, we just come down, and we can add turbulence from here also. We just go down, and inside our fluid shape, and if you just search for our dynamic simulation, so we have basically gravity value, it's positive value, so it's going up. If you just say 0, and now if you just play and check, let's see what happens. Yes, blasting on that particular area only. Simple. So it's not flowing upward, it's just blasting over there only. That is first thing you can do. You just play now once again and check. Okay. Next, you just come here in the bottom. So we have liquid auto resize. We're going to discuss that. Contents, details. If you want to add additional detail to density, if you want to increase the density, we can increase, let's say 1, 2. You want more dense data, burns, dissipation, you can just play with that particular value. You just say 0.5, dissipation, you just increase a bit, and we just play and check now. So we are having a very dense data now, and if you just see now, it's more organic. If you want to increase the density after its blast, that is also fine. We want a little dense data. So on 25th frame, till 25th frame, we want, let's say 1, and we just set the key, and after that particular point, gradually till 27th frame, we want it to, let's say 5, density data, set the key, and gradually on 75 frame till 65 frame we want that only 5, and till 75 frame we want to decrease that to 0. We don't want any density over here. And if you just play and check now, no, whether it's perfectly fine or what is the problem and whatever, so we just see. See, the density is added. So when we are blasting, we have sufficient density so we can see the blast effect. And yes, and afterward gradually is going to decrease it and going to evaporate the density. Simple. So you can play with the density if you want to add it, and if you want to make it more dramatic blast, so what you can do is you can add additional field also, and you can add a little bit of vortex. So I'll just add not much, just little bit of vortex. So vortex is going to rotate that surface, that particular fluid. So I don't want that much effect. 5, I'll just say very little, 3, or we can add 5 also, no issue. And we want to hold all the effect, so we're going to add drag and make sure your attenuation is 0 and magnitude is 1. By default is 0.2, 0.02, and just make sure increase your attenuation a bit, 1, and just equate. And if you just play and check now, let's see what happens. So it's increasing the density, and it's increasing the density even more, and it's very organically is now flowing like particle, right? Okay, if we want a little more, if you want, you can just try. If you want the drag a little more dramatic, so just increase it to 5 and let's see what happens. We don't want particle or smoke to extend that much or expand that much, so just increase the drag field. The drag field is going to hold that hold the fluids, and it's not going to, let's see how it react. Much organic there. the same time I want to increase the vertex fill also. Okay, so let's try with 20 and now play and check. Yes, it's rotating. Yes. Okay, so once you are satisfied with the given values, then you can just go ahead and we can just, if you want, you can add a little bit of diffusion, you can add noise, you can add tension, whatever. You can add a little bit of velocity or turbulence, more turbulence to it. Basically, I'm now interested in shading, so I'm just directly going to add with our shading, and this is all fine for me. If you just decrease the transparency, you can see, you can add more information over here. If you just say 0, so you can add filling that out. But this is fine for me right now, whatever is there. I want to change the color of this particular area. So let's see how we can add. We can just click and add whatever color we want, and if you want, we can just follow the same pattern over here of 5D content. So initially black, dark black, then your oranges, dark orange, then light orange, your little light shade, little reddish, and then your yellow toning like this. Okay, and this is basically constant color, so it is going to be remain same. If you want this to be on x-axis, so we can add axis. This is x-axis. We can see, it's affecting like that, but we want over a density. So wherever there is a maximum data, is going to be very dense, and you can just see, like this. We want little 5D kind of effect, and for smoke, we can add little bit of grayish color to it, like that. And same, just make sure this is density. So I've added little bit of more same color information over here also, and opacity also. This is density. You can add more information like this. This is fine for me. So you can see, quickly we can see, very realistic kind of fire is coming from this particular surface. And if you just go down a bit inside your, you can add increase the shading quality overall here also, but we don't want right now. So texture. So if you want, you can add from here. You can add texture color, texture incandances if you want, texture opacity. Texture opacity is your this texture type. You can just change different texture types, so you can add little variation to this particular thing, and you can increase your threshold value. You want to add a little bit of variation, so you can just add it. So it's going to enhance your output. Just drag below. So we have a little bit of little more variation. Okay, and if you want, we can animate that surface, and if you just increase the frequency, you can see we can add more sub turbulence to it, like variations. Okay. If you just go to the mid values, you can see, and you can just start playing, and you can see what's happening. So like that, you can add more dynamic fields to it. You can add, you can see now, it's blasting. Simple, you can add simple blast effect like that. And if you want to animate, gradually it's changing the color and whatever, so you can animate that stuff. Input bias, I'm going to show you that also. And gradually is going to evaporate and disappear. Okay, if you now just play blast, and if you want, we can just play blast and check that. And if you just add a light to it, and then we can see much better way. If you just, we can add the light. So you can add light from here also. You can just go and add your default light and check that. And we can add light inside our fluid also. If you just go down, and we have lighting system over here, so you can add light from here. You just activate your self shadow, and if I just play and check now, I've just switch off that particular thing. After the blast, I'm going to show how it looks like, so you can see better. Okay, I'm going to stop this now, and if you just activate self shadow, so you can see if I just switch on and off, so you can see that information, shadow information. So so you can decide what, and shadow opacity, how much you want. One is going fine for me, and light brightness, and which type of light we need. It is directional, you can say diagonal, point light, so it's going to affect like that. Shadow is too harsh now, and you can increase the light brightness from here, and from exactly what point you want your light, you can increase your light ambience and ambient, whatever ambient color you want, this color, whatever you can add it, ambient diffusion, ambient color, so it's going to affect like. And if you want to add your real lights, you can add that. So if you just take it up to, so light is gone up, you can see 0, it is here on the base, and if I just add it to, so it's gone up like that. Simple. Okay. Okay, so inside your boundary draw, I've just taken none, so we can see without the boundary. And from here, I'm just going to switch off my old V filled, Control H, height, and show. This is fine for me with dynamics. Yes. And I don't want to see this also. I don't want to see this particular area. And if you just try with my V-Ray render setup, though I don't know what's going to. Just without light, without V-Ray light. Okay, we're going to take the play blast of this particular area. And you can try with your Arnold, but for all this stuff, we required a light, a good light. So, my fluid is my fluid. So you can render using your anything. You can use Arnold or Maya software, but for Arnold we required a good light of Arnold, so you can see better. Okay. I'm going to take the play blast of this play blast, and quick time. We want to hide this display, hide sub display. We don't want to see any access. Okay, and we don't have any other extra informations, and just go to browse, and my computer, upload, FX demo. So today's 3/12/2020 blast FX, and we want this from a render setting. Inside render setting, just make sure you use either full HD or half HD. I'm going to take full HD, resolution let's say 300, close, and just play blast and check now. I'm going to stop that escape. Let's see how it reacts. I think I have to zoom out more. Yes, we need to zoom out a little more. Let's see how it looks. Make sure it covers the entire area. So I think this is fine. So I'm going to, once again, I'm going to play blast that particular file and I'm going to rewrite that. Let's see. Escape. Let's see how it looks like. Yes. Okay. So what you can do now, blasting is fine. So you got the idea now how you can do the things, and we want to add a little changes to it. What kind of changes? I'm just going to show you now. So let's select your fluid and just come to the shading area. I'm going to show you that. Okay, here the animation parts, like this density. If you just animate this area, so you can see gradually it's changing the color. So you can see like that. So we have to animate this plus this also together basically. And so at last we want when it's over, so we want this kind of color here. So we're going to animate this also. So in the beginning we want this particular color. Yes, definitely we want this particular color. So you can set the key, and till here, this particular point of the time, this area, we can decrease even more. Just set the key, and gradually till this particular part, we want it to change the color even more to gray. So just decrease it, and make sure you set the key for both the area. So it's going to adopt that particular color. This particular color is going to adopt this particular color, and this. And now once again we're going to play blast and check. So FX A, play blast. We have to decrease, basically we have to zoom out, deselect everything. Now you can play blast. One more thing, this is not going well. Texture opacity, this is fine. Texture impedances, it's not going that well. We can change to wispy. Texture color is going to be displayed inside your rendering, while rendering. And frequency ratio, yes. And gradually you can animate your frequency ratio if you want. This is fine. You can animate your this texture time if you want to give a little more organic. So instead of animating, if you want, you can just add the expression, but it's opening that notepad. We won't want that. I'm just going to add simple key over here till this particular time, till this time. I'm going to add a little bit of animation, not much, but just 0.1 or 0.5, a little bit of animation. This is gradual animation, okay, fine. So it's not static. I'm going to save my file, upload FX demo, and today is 3 December 2020. FX blast A, save it, and now if you want, you can play blast and check. We can rewrite our A, but you can add on B and just play blast, and let's see how it looks like. So before you do your final rendering and send to your client, make sure you play blast your file and send 1 or 2 or 3 samples of final render, single image, and the play blast. Now you can see, the inside texture is animating gradually, so it is giving you more organic kind of effect. So it can be a little more drastic, instead of 0.5 you can just say 1, or if you want you can just say 2, but first you have to check inside your play blast, how it goes, how it looks like. So and gradually you can change. Should not be too much, that it's just if it is I think 0.5, 0.1, it is fine. So after the play blast you can see that. See, now it's converting that stuff final area to smoke. After the fire, we want that we converted that area to smoke, and the drag field is holding that particular surface, not be able to affect that area. So gradually from 40 we can decrease our drag field. So in our next play blast we are going to add that. So that is how you have to go ahead and gradually you have to make progress. Okay, so I'm going to press escape and let's see how it looks. Yes, wow, yes, it's fine, it's properly fine for me. Okay, and gradually we want, say, let's form 50 frame, this particular frame, to flow the particles, so let's play with our drag field. So till 50 frame 5 is fine for me, and from here till not 50 frame till 40 frame, I think it's fine. Paste, and till 55 frame I don't want any drag, or we want a little bit, just say 0.5, very little. We want it to flow now, we don't want anything to store now, and let's see how it looks like. If it is look good, because it's looking very static. Play blast, and I'm just going to say C and play blast and check now. Escape. Just make sure you take the setting from your render settings. Yes, overwrite. So after 40, it's going to flow. We have decreased the drag field amount gradually, so it's going to flow. Let's see how it flows. Yes, it's flowing. Yeah. It's giving more soothing effect. Yes. So when initially blast happens, so it just stops there and gradually is flow. So you can use your drag field. I think we are okay, it's fine. So you can see whatever changes we want, we can add that changes. Yes, and it suddenly it just stops. So we have to increase our that density. Gradually we have to decrease it. That last thing we need to do. You can add more thing, but that our density area. This. So on 75 it is 0. So just cut that. We want a gradual progression from 75 to 105 or 100 frame, but it's going very quick. We don't want that. It should be soothingly going out.